Hey, it's Friday. It's 1 p.m. Eastern. We are The Last Word, a Chrisman Commentary show, sponsored today by the Chrisman Commentary Marketplace. Scan the QR code there in the lower right part of your screen. Check out the great companies, product, services in the Chrisman Commentary Marketplace. And if you're interested in highlighting your company, your products, your services, in that link, there's a form to fill out, and the Chrisman team will take care of you. Courtney, Christy, KP, Magic 8 Ball. Happy Friday, guys.
Happy Friday. It's August.
No.
It's Leo season.
Leo season.
Ooh, even better.
Yeah. So we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about, as always. I'm just going to go. Whoop, we lost KP. We got to get him back. He'll come back. So just a couple things to put on the list, and then we'll just get to what we get to. Mortgage rates this week have kind of hit a recent low, 4-month low. So, yep, fingers crossed that kind of continues and turns into some momentum. We'll come back to that. We've seen consumer housing sentiment improving in the latest readouts. What else we got here? We had an abrupt job loss last week with the Bureau of Labor Statistics. We'll talk about that. And what else? Other than that,
Breaking news.
Business as usual.
Fannie and Freddie going public. Breaking news.
Talk to us.
Well,
talk to us, Magic 8. Talk to us, Magic 8 Ball.
My stupid Wi-Fi will work. I'm trying to get it working, so I can't be on video right away. Yeah, the president announced they're going to do an IPO. They think they can raise $30 billion. And I think the article said $500 million valuation. And on the 15%, 5 to 15% more shares are going public. It's already $11 billion market cap. And quick check of the ticker, stock went up almost 18% this morning on a little pop. I'd sell that rip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
interesting.
It's up 18.34% as of right this minute. But that is not the high.
We are not financial advisors. We are not responsible for your losses, only your profits.
Nice disclosure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we start with where the 10-year is. Like the 10-year is at 4.287.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I saw an incredible commentary. Dog days of summer. There's nothing going on this week. All the real traders are out on vacation. So they just tell their junior traders, buy 420, sell 425. This is light volume. It means nothing. It's a very interesting commentary.
That is interesting commentary. I would say the interesting commentary that I keep hearing in the marketplace as I've spent some time with the realtors over the last few days is that they're definitely feeling the squeeze. And what's interesting is not only is it location specific, as you see differences in different parts of the country, even in different parts of town, but it is very price point specific. So the kind of general consensus with the agents that I was talking to was, hey, if it's under between 400,000 and 600,000, depending on where in the city, and in this case, we're talking about Austin, and where in the city you are, those houses are selling no problem, right? That's your average person who has the money, can afford it, can whatever. Those are kind of your median homes there. If it's above $1.5 million, those folks are still buying. They're not as worried about the interest rate. They're more flush with cash. They're still doing good in the economy. They're not worried about their jobs. But that, 700 to call it 1.2 million is really the spot where people are getting squeezed, where you're seeing more stuff on the market, where you're seeing more price drops, where people are. And one agent was like this interesting commentary around, they're like, hey, well, if you get another offer, let me know. What do you mean if we get another offer? Then you're going to say you don't want to be in a multiple offer situation. And she was just really funny in her commentary. But you're starting to see that. in our markets. I don't know what KP you are seeing, or Brian, what you're hearing from the LOs that you talk to, or Courtney, what bubbles up your way.
Courtney, I'll let you go first.
That's so kind of you. I mean, my my experience is that everyone's still hot and bothered deal to deal right now. Every deal feels like the holy grail. And I'm not saying that it's not. And I understand that when you're compensated by sales, every deal should be the holy grail. You should be operating that way. There's a lot more jumbos rolling through. I will say that. And so I think that the need is still there, but I would believe the realtors that there's, hesitancy in the market. I watch Detroit Zillow like it's kids play video games. I play Detroit Zillow, right? And that would be the framework of homes that I would look in. And I send like the fun ones to my friend. There's some cool ones in Indian Village right now that look like Liberace left some of his touches there. Check it out if you're into Zillow porn. But market wise, things are hanging on a lot longer. You're not seeing things fly off in the first week in the same way because people know that there is softening.
Yeah, I would say anecdotally from, small subset data set of August so far, in conversations with lenders and loan officers alike, it feels like the calendar moving from July to August has kind of created some momentum, like real activity. And again, small subset. I was just at the Michigan Mortgage Lenders annual conference in Frankenmuth, Michigan. Robbie and Rob Chrisman were there as well. And 200 plus of our closest Michigander mortgage folks and friends. And similar kind of sentiment, kind of a quiet summer, but the calendar flipping over to August, things seem to be picking up for the origination side. So again, very anecdotal. I wouldn't footnote those in anybody's study of the market. That's for sure. KP, what are you guys seeing at PRMG?
Our locks are up about 28% month over month, 5 days in. So rates are definitely noticeably better. And part of that's that obviously the spreads have gotten better between the 10-year Treasury and 30-year fixed. And that's because the 10-year Treasury seems to be more anchored down to the Elon line at 420. So yeah. I am naming that. Logan has the Hodor line and the Gandalf line, and I'm naming 420 the Elon line. So Christy, you know when he rolled out RoboTaxi in Austin, all the fares were a flat $4.20. I thought that for a guy that claims he doesn't smoke the stuff, he sure uses that number a lot. So yeah, I think rates are in a good spot. I think they could be
poking the bear. He's just poking the bear, right?
He loves it. But yeah, I would say it's in a sustainably lower trend, and you get tame inflation next week. It pegs lower below the Elon line. If it is elevated or comes in even as expected, maybe it kind of trades sideways until the next PCE report and jobs report, which the next jobs report could have more revisions and be weaker again. And then you see it take a peg lower. So it's choppy, up, down, but we're not sitting around 450. We're sitting around 420, the Elon line. And that's good because, when rates were at 6.4%, and under earlier in the year, we just saw a rash of locks come through. So I'm pretty hopeful considering it's August.
I'm hopeful that we're going to see a trend that looks a lot like last year, right? Where we had a little bit of dip in the early part of the summer, and then we started seeing better and better production all the way through December. So hopefully we're going to get that same kind of the lift this year, and hopefully we're going to see a little bit in the rates. It's going to help that.
I would just say that the difference last year is that there was clear room for 100 basis points cuts, and they did 50 right off the chute in September and followed up with two more 25s. But inflation bounced up a little. And I don't know, the setup for inflation to go up is potentially there with tariffs, but also, potentially to be offset by lower oil. Whereas we didn't have a year ago, we didn't have a new administration that wants to drill, baby, drill. So, and we also don't have falling home prices. Well, let me say less inflation of home prices. Obviously, we have markets where we have outright falling home prices, and that's been the big driver of inflation. So, there's only 2, maybe 3 rate cuts of 25 bips that are baked in the cake. That, obviously could be, maybe roll into next year if we only see 1 or 2 this year. Whereas this time last year, we had at least 100 basis points baked in. But yeah, dynamics are changing. I mean, GDP is under 2, inflation is rising, but not off the charts rising. It's like up 1 month, down 2 months, up 1 month. So yeah, I think it's a sustainably lower trend just based on all the macros if we were to bang charts around for a little bit. But, I love making bets and placing bets. Doesn't mean I'm saying sit around, wait for a refi boom, get out there and keep grinding. Although, man, the Triggerly bill passing, that's great. There's no triggers, but I had 22 voicemail when I checked my voicemail after just being gone 2 days. I swear to God, I had 11 robocalls from one lender. So the new trigger annoyance is going to be these robo-dialers. And unless someone comes and clips them, we're all talking about AI voice and implementing it, and people are implementing it, man. They're firing on my cell phone. I'm like, what number is that? I need to block that crap.
Oh yeah, no, I see the same thing blown up from just about every industry out there. Mostly the health insurance, which is crazy.
They're not asking you about your car warranty?
Silverfox.com?
No. The tax resolution department calls me all the time. So I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on it.
I wonder why. You're on the servicing queen list.
Yeah, I'm on everybody's list. I'm used to it though, KP. So it's good with me.
So a couple other things of note, and I want to give credit where credit is due. I'm scanning through an email that I get every morning, the Daily Dose of Real Estate, which is put out by Alfred, which is Tim Rood's AI business. So shout out Tim Rood and Impact Capital and Alfred, and it's one of the multiple emails I scan for quick headlines. So and I haven't dug into these, but kind of headlines from this morning. United Wholesale had their earnings release. They showed quarter-over-quarter improvement, margin improvement, better mortgage reported. They had quarter-over-quarter improvement, and I believe I saw a headline earlier this week, maybe that Rocket had the same. So we had 3, non-depository mortgage originators that reported better results in Q2 than in Q1, and I think also year-over-year improvement. So, another set of good signals, good signs, or better. I don't know if it's good or not, but better than prior periods. So there's another little bit of a shot in the arm for the industry.
My big takeaway to set up the ladies is when I read the comments from Matt Ishpia, CEO of United Wholesale, he said, "Hey, we're not a servicer, we're not a retention team, and we crushed it. We over-indexed on the industry average on refinances." And so it just goes, and they don't even originate, right? Everything's from third party. So I thought that was a really good point for them to make. Because Courtney says all the time, a lot of these services out here, they're just not very good at, and she spent a life, building best in class servicing over there at CMG. But he made a point like, everyone's fearful of all these companies having all this retention, all these loans on their books, and they crushed it using third party only. So I thought that was a very interesting comment.
I think that the good thing about that, and I'm not saying that there's bad things specifically, is that, Matt seems to think differently than a lot of people in the marketplace. I think that, a lot of people are fearful of the Rupert model or the Mr. Rocket or the 1 in 6 blah 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 blah, but it's kind of like what are you doing? What is your strategy? Where are you different from the marketplace? I love that everyone is talking about like, oh, the Rocket Cooper deal is a mortgage servicing thing, or this company is investing in servicing transformation, and they're still on freaking Black Knight MSP. So they can all take a long walk off a short pier with regard to their innovation, because we think about that differently in terms of what we are doing, right? And how we are leveraging actual modern technology to do our servicing. And when we have the lowest cost of servicing in the market and we don't need scale to get there, we will smile and take care of our customers and then do whatever Chris George asks us to do next, right? And I think that, I think mortgage, more than many industries, mortgage, medical billing, insurance, these industries that have just been around since dinosaurs roamed the earth, or, presidents had wooden teeth, or however you want to look at it. I think that, the majority controls a lot unnecessarily, and that does prohibit innovation in many different ways, right? And in order to get good innovation and change and perspective in mortgage, we need people to think differently, and we need people to stand behind their strategy, right? I think, even people who are trying new things sometimes are afraid to take a position different than, what the majority is doing. And, 3 cheers to Matt for always just, he kind of Matt's all over the place. And, you can't be mad at David Bowie, and you can't be mad at Matt Ishbia for that, in my mind. I agree. Alfred is awesome. Deborah just put something in the chat, and I just want to double down on David Bowie and Tim Rude and Alfred. It's actually a really great tool. It's a really great way to get caught up with what's up in the marketplace quickly in the morning. And Tim's a good person, so to me, he gets 10 extra points.
And Tim will be so stoked that he was literally mentioned in the same breath as David Bowie. So that's pretty cool on its own. Pretty cool on its own. What what else, guys? What as we kind of wrap up week 1 of August, what else did you kind of see this week that was interesting or head scratching or both?
I'd say, what were people talking about? And I can't remember the name of the town that you went to that was different than we expected. It was not you weren't in the Upper Peninsula. You were somewhere different.
No,
but at the Michigan Mortgage Lenders, what were the key topics that people were talking about in cocktail hour at the coffee?
What wreath to put up? Which Christmas decorations to buy in Frankenmuth?
Yeah,
I feel like there's a lot of
Town,
them.
USA. Yeah, Frankenmuth is about 90 minutes due north of Detroit. So it's almost like a lot of people kind of consider the Frankenmuth zone as like the dividing line to up north, capital U, capital N, up north. First time in that location. I think it was well received. I missed the opening reception, which was Sunday evening, but it was held at a swim up bar, the state of Michigan's only swim up bar. Who knew? And a lot of Michigan mortgage bankers partook in the water, which was pretty cool. A lot of talk about AI. So Brooke was there. Brooke Tompkins was in Frankenmuth, and she talked about kind of where AI is going and how fast it's going, and how people are kind of starting to use it in different parts of the business, not just kind of the loan manufacturing process. Laura Escobar, our current chair of the Mortgage Bankers Association, kicked things off for us on Monday and gave a great update from the MBA's perspective. Nothing that we haven't already talked about in the past several weeks there, but trigger leads was kind of a big thing from her for her to update on, as we're hot off the presses of the president signing that into law. What else was on the? Well, there was a technology panel that yours truly sat on with Eric Kiawa from ICE and Mike Brown from Gateless, moderated by Robbie Chrisman. A pretty cool conversation. We talked a lot about not about tech in per se, but really about tech adoption and or lack thereof. And
was that in the swim up bar with a shirtless cigar smoking Robbie?
Okay, you forgot like at the Michigan Mortgage Bankers Association, by the way. And I love everyone from Michigan. I'm from Michigan, but Michigan folks in their bathing suits, very different than Austin folks or Californian folks. So the Michigan Mortgage Bankers Association at a swim up bar, like, I'm sorry, but I just couldn't hold it together over here, Brian. I was not laughing at you. I was just like deeply in the visual cortex.
We will.
I was just thinking
we'll check
old cheese eaters in the swimming pool at a conference.
We will check the transcript
at a conference.
I'm going to go back to the transcript and note that I was not present at the Sunday reception at the swim up bar. There are photos. If you go troll some of the Michigan folks, you'll see some photos that have somehow made it to the World Wide Web. Always interesting. But anyway, back to the topic. We talked a lot about implementation challenges, adoption challenges, kind of this concept of the dead tech stack. So lenders, loan officers that have all this tech and a lot of it, not a lot, but some of it is underutilized or not utilized at all. And so, it's kind of, I don't know, maybe a little odd that three folks that kind of sell technology into the space were advising the room to do an audit and, get rid of what you're not using, right? And so, I think there's a fair amount of that still out there. What else? Rob Chrisman.
Was there a lot of like, dude, that's some cool ink. I had no idea you had 17 tattoos. Oh, dad bods on display with all the bad decisions we made in our 20s. Number 13, Leo symbol, University of Texas. Anyway.
I think the comments in the threads where these photos exist are epic. So just do yourself a favor and spend your Saturday morning there.
It's kind of like Googling a wolf t-shirt on Amazon and reading the comments. If you want to read some good comments, go there.
Exactly.
I clearly do not have enough fun in my life. Okay. That's my takeaway from today.
Come on. I saw you in there with a lovely date night on the patio. They look nice.
Right. Date night on the patio. There was no swim up bar. There's no wolf comments, tattoos. Yeah, no, we're missing out.
Okay. Back to the topics at hand. Thankfully, there's no photos of me in the swim up bar at the MMLA event in Frankenmuth, Michigan. We'll just let.
Oh, come on! You're a specimen. I know there's one out there.
No, there's not. So the last thing I'll share is I hosted a roundtable. So they had 3 breakout sessions to kind of wrap up the event. We had operations, sales. I led the sales, and then there was a C-suite CEO leaders that got together. And so the sales roundtable was awesome. There was probably 40 people in the room and maybe 15, 20 loan officers, which for our state association conference, that's pretty good attendance to have, loan officers attend. And we've been really focused within the association and organization to have more participation from the field, from the street. So we talked about who was winning, how were they winning, and the really encouraging news, and it's not surprising, but I think sometimes we all just need to hear it. The people that are winning, and they shared how they're winning, are literally doing kind of tried and true old school strategies, and they're showing up in their communities, both physically and digitally, they're communicating, and they're not just relying on technology to communicate on their behalf. They're active communicators with their customers, their prospects, their referral partners. And that's kind of a common theme that I see, not just in that breakout, but when I'm talking with LOs every day and across different markets and different companies. It's the tried and true tactics and strategies that are still winning in today's market. And it's why I think all of us truly believe that local loan originator will continue to win despite the headwinds of the market. They're still the best resource, especially for home buyers and especially for first-time home buyers who are preparing for that process. So that was like a nice way to wrap up the conference, is to kind of know that people are winning, and they're winning by doing things that have been happening and leading to success for decades in our business, and leveraging technology, not solely relying on technology.
Blocking and tackling there, Brian. And like, that's really what it is. But I think what you are seeing too in the marketplace is that there is not a lot of winning when you wait and sit by the phone. And maybe that was possible in some years, and maybe in many years. It is not possible today. You see a large number of folks who aren't willing to adopt technology even as an aid. They're not willing to work in different ways. There is still a lot of hope that things are just going to go back to the way they were. And I don't think we're ever getting there. I think that there is a new way of working. There's a new expectation from consumers. And it's been 5 years since COVID. And we're not going backwards past that. And so it's like, get on the train, get on the bus, whatever your mode of transportation is. Hopefully it wasn't a United Airways plane a couple days ago.
Yeah, that's not good. I would just say, like, these conversations that people are having, instead of having to be in a rush and go, we've got this 1 day window where this rate makes sense for you for a purchase and home affordability, or a refinance, or that equity lien we've been talking about, or 3 days or a week. We're going to have sustainably, appreciably lower rates. And these conversations are all setups for when, all right, now let's pull the trigger. So instead of trying to call 2,000 clients that are in the money, you're having calls a long way. Go, this is the setup. This is what makes sense for you. This is where we're going to be at. This is what I want to do when rate gets to so-and-so. Start house hunting, start looking, let's do a 2-1 or 1-1 buy down now and get you in now. I don't want to say date the rate, set it. But I'm just saying, longer, more appreciable, sustained setup calls for a time to pull the trigger, as opposed to having a rush to action in the moment when rates make sense. It's, those still work because consumers are smarter. They do a lot of research, and, our companies obviously all provide a lot of data and info ahead of time, but those conversations build trust and relationships and get people to buy into where this market has gone to. And in my opinion, will stay for a sustained amount of time.
I saw a survey earlier this week that said, a year ago, there were only like 41% of people said 6% was the right rate for them to buy a home or make a move. And that number has jumped up into the mid 50s, right? So you're starting to see the psychology from the buyers kind of level set at what a more reasonable rate is likely to be. And that means the market is going to start moving and shifting. And so, to KP's point, if you're not having those conversations with your database, with people that you're building relationships with, however that looks, does that look like connecting with them on social media? Does it look like sending emails? Does it look like text messages or videos or whatever it looks like for you? If you're not having those conversations, you are going to get left behind.
No question. Courtney, bring us home.
Rick Rubin has said that AI has no soul. And so at the end of the day, that's where it will fail in its effectiveness. And I think that what we're all saying here is that at the end of the day, using modern technology, using text messages or AI generated Sylvester Stallones that sell your loans for you, or whatever your shtick is, right, is a really, really lovely idea, but it's a tool. And at the end of the day, it is the human relationships. It is the local impact. It is the, understanding what's happening on the ground that is still making the most effective salespeople around the country, the most effective salespeople around the country. That and a little bit of hustle.
Probably more hustle than you.
I would say that soulless AI bot can have of 10,000 calls a second. So, no human can do that. So I'm evidence of the 10,000 phone calls in my voicemail, but having a call and a setup to get to a human with a soul, I think is the play. And we're seeing it play out. 10,000 phone calls a second. I mean, that's insane. Like there's just no one can do that except a bot.
Well, guys, who knew we were going to have David Bowie, Rick Rubin, and Sylvester Stallone all get shout outs. Oh, and Tim Rude all get shout outs here on The Last Word. So, guys.
And Elon. Can't forget Elon.
The Elon line, 420, right on. Guys, we made it through another week. The first week of August, we'll be back here, same time, same channel. For The Last Word, a Chrisman Commentary show, sponsored today by the Chrisman Commentary Marketplace. See you guys. Have a great weekend.
See you guys.